Shalom, shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praise, honor, and the glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishop, and elders, a great millstone that rule well, and peace and blessings be multiplied on all you brethren out there, teaching this word in all sincerity and truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the 144,000, and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom. I'm the brother Dama Gabar, here with another lesson, Lord willing to edify through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Yahweh Shai. All right, and I found this article interesting, all right? It's from Zero Hedge, and it's titled, President Trump Announces Plan to Designate Antifa as a Terrorist Organization. You see? And, and this is gonna, pretty much, if it passes, which we know eventually in some shape, form, or fashion, it will pass, is setting the president, for, this administration to be able to designate pretty much anybody they want to as terrorist organizations, and they're using this whole CK, I don't want to say the guy's name, situation, as a way to, designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. And now, they're setting the stage to where your speech, which here in America is supposed to be free, is now going to be able to get you labeled, to get you canceled. They just recently canceled Jimmy Kimmel's show for, having an opinion about that whole CK person, which he didn't even really say anything too crazy or anything that was out of pocket. He didn't celebrate or dance on his grave or say anything that, celebrated his demise. But, we know that Jimmy Kimmel has been a huge, non-supporter of Trump, and he's been, he was, not a very, he didn't speak very well of Trump, just put it that way. And now, for years they had words back and forth, and now through this whole CK situation, he's finally able to cancel and to shut down Jimmy Kimmel and his show. And I heard they're getting ready to do the next to The View. And basically the stage is being set to where Trump he's becoming a dictator. And now, they're going to use this whole situation that happened with this guy to be able to come against their political adversaries. And we know eventually it's going to be able to trickle down to come up against this ministry and the prophets of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And this is the reason why I'm doing this lesson, because it's showing you a precedent that is being set to where they're setting the stage to where, this guy, Nero Trump is going to be able to, basically come up against anybody that that's not supporting him, or that speaks ill of him, or that says particular things that they can deem to be hateful, or can incite riot, or it can incite people to have particular ideological views and perspectives, you see. And we see the stage is being set, man. Like I said, mainly this is going to be able to be used to come up against this ministry and the doctrine of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Because remember, our talking points, which are biblical, are, mentioning our Lord and Savior Yahweh Shai coming back to take over the planet. It's coming over to, dethrone particular, governments and governments and rulerships, and ultimately the rulership of Esau, Edom, and these elites. So, they could deem the things that we're saying to be treasonous, or we can be labeled as a terrorist organization. And remember, we're living in the high times of mass deception. These devils now with AI and artificial intelligence and deep fakes and AI could pretty much, show something on television or on the internet that can be totally fabricated and totally fake, and they could use it to blame whoever the hell they want to blame, and they can be able to use they can use AI to paint a so-called Hebrew Israelite organization, they could just fake some shit to make it seem like we're getting ready to do something or become violent, or to start a revolution or some shit, or just get one of these simple-minded jakes out there, to say something that can be used to get this ministry to be blamed. And this is why, Elder Apostle Tahar has been, telling us to be circumspect and be wise, and we got to speak in code and to be wise, especially in these times, because, this, certain climate right now, is heavy, and these devils are pulling out all stops, man. Right, but let me start with this first. All right. And it's something that we always preach and we always bring out. But we know, like I said, this devil has the sorcery and the witchcraft and the means to, make something, appear real that's not real. So this is why we got to constantly harp and constantly reiterate this talking point of our ministry, which is let me see something. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4, it says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal." You see? I'm gonna read it in the NLT. It says 2 Corinthians 10 and 4 in the NLT, "We use God's mighty weapons, not worldly weapons, to knock down not worldly weapons to knock down the strongholds of human reasoning and to destroy false arguments. We destroy every proud obstacle that keeps people from knowing the Most High. We capture their rebellious thoughts and teach them to obey Hamashiach," which this is what we're ultimately doing, with this ministry and this gospel, is to waking up the elect of the nation of Israel. And the weapons that we use is this truth, is this gospel, is prophecy, is bringing, truth to the forefront and to the light. This is why we tell these other camps, stop going out to the camps with fucking high power rifles and guns on your hips, man. Or going out there, with these modern day swords. That's not what the Lord didn't call us out here, to be tough men or to be knock around guys or to be a goddamn military marching down the goddamn street, because all that shit can be used by our enemy to blame this ministry and to paint a false picture of us that's not true, which these people are already lying and slandering us as it is. We don't need to give them any further ammo to paint us in this carnal, militant, trying to take up arms and fight against the government type of situation, and this is what these devils are going to eventually, try to paint the picture as us as being. And in the meantime, they're going to try to use, certain talking points and words that we say to find a way to label us and to, blame this ministry, man. And, these are just the times that we're in. And these devils, they got the perfect situation set up right now to do that, which I'm going to show you. It says Antifa will be designated by the United States as a terrorist organization, President Donald Trump announced after midnight on September 18th while visiting the UK. "I am pleased to inform our many U.S. patriots that I am designating Antifa, a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster, as a major terrorist organization." Because right now their main attack is on the radical left, these Democrats, these, it's political opposition. Like I said, and pretty soon they're going to be able to use this same weaponized situations to come up against the prophets and the men of the Lord. You got a lot of guys, coming out, saying particular things. Hey, and these devils are getting the database and they're tracking and tracing everybody that's saying things against this guy that they don't like, to be able to, to label you or to cancel you or to put the spotlight on you, and they're using it to justify, passing these unrighteous decrees and basically violating your right to free speech. And amongst other things, shit, you had that one Judite chick, I think she went to one of these HBCUs or some college. She was talking shit about CK and she literally got grabbed up, arrested, and thrown in prison. You see? So, hey, these devils are definitely on the move. It says the president said he would also strongly recommend that anyone funding the group be investigated. You see? It says Jill McLaughlin, well, let's read his tweet. It says, "I am pleased to inform our many U.S. patriots." Look, who is he talking to? U.S. patriots, right-wingers, MAGers. Basically, a lot of these suspected white supremacists, man. And I was reading an article yesterday, there's a lot of these young, patriots, these young red-blooded Americans that are, trying to set up all these different chapters to join CK's organization all over the country, man. And like his wife said, this is a battle cry. You don't know what you awaken. This basically was a goddamn, a call to arms, a way for them to recruit a lot of these, right wingers, these MAGers, to mount up, to basically to mobilize, and to stand on the principles and the talking points and the beliefs and the patriotism that this guy CK was out here preaching and spewing all over the place. They had like what, over 37,000 new inquiries of individuals trying to join and start up new chapters of that whole CK's organization. And who the hell you think those what race of people those members are that was trying to sign up to join and start these different chapters of his organization? You see? So hey man, this thing is getting real out here, and eventually we know it's going to lead to Egyptian versus Egyptian. And now this administration is doing a hell of a job of designating and singling out the enemies. You see, it says Patriots, that I am designating Antifa a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster as a major terrorist organization. I will also be strongly recommending that those funding Antifa be thoroughly investigated in accordance with the highest legal standard and practice. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think George Soros funded a lot of these things. So, a lot of these organizations that they're deeming to be terrorists in this are ultimately so-called white organizations, man. But at the same time, now, there's a huge attack on so-called Negroes, the so-called blacks and minorities, as if we're the problem with this society. No, the problem with this society is, is all on you Edomites, man. This is the problem with this society is, your corrupt politicians, your corrupt government, this whole Edomite Caucasian establishment is the goddamn problem, But of course, they're looking for people to blame. They're looking for people to point the finger at. And eventually, we know it's going to come towards the men of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and the Israelites. It says, Jill McLaughlin reports for the Epoch Time that Trump's announcement was made after he and the First Lady met with Britain's royal family at Windsor Castle on the first day of a 2-day visit to the UK. It says, on Monday, Trump hinted at the designation, saying he would support in the wake of the assassination of Christian conservative commentator CK last week. If it's something I would do, yeah, if I had blah, 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 blah. Where's the point? Here it is. It says Antifa gathered outside the castle in London, chanting Charlie's in a box on Wednesday, referring to Kirk. These societal outcasts are so removed from reality, they think it's funny to laugh at patriots being horrifically murdered, which shows you the hypocrisy of Trump and these Edomites, man. All right. Because, when a lot of these so-called blacks got brutally murdered, hey, there was that one guy, I forget his name, who said, I can't breathe. They was making fun and laughing and mocking at him. They was laughing at George Floyd and his situation, and there's a lot of other, jakes that got brutally murdered by Caucasian individuals where it wasn't no outcry like this. They made fun, they mocked, they talked their shit on the comment boards, but as long as you see, but when they do it, hey, it's they have the right to free speech. Being talking bad about somebody isn't free speech. It's not hate speech is still free speech. But now that it's coming on them and it's being pointed in their direction, now the tables have turned, which shows you the hypocrisies of these damn devils, man. And now they're getting ready to use these talking points to come up against their political opposition and basically anybody that's cussing them out or talking shit. It says, these societal outcasts are so removed from reality, they think it's funny to laugh at patriots being horrifically murdered. Turning Point UK, a branch of Kirk's organization, Turning Point USA, posted on X. You see, so this devil got a goddamn chapter over there in the UK. And like I said, I read that article where it was thousands of new guys trying to join and start up new chapters all across Babylon the Great. And the type of characters that are looking to join, man. Remember, you had those Edomites out there talking about white man fight back, white man fight back. Well, hey, see? It says the suspect in Kirk's assassination, Tyler Robinson, is believed to hold extreme leftist viewpoints, according to officials. You see? So now it's a war on the left. It's a war on anybody that shares those sentiments or share those different ideologies. I can't say that word. Ideologies of the left. You see? And how much more towards the men of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And like I said, they know the things that we prophesy about, the ushering in of Yahweh Shai, a setting up of a new kingdom and the falling of this current age and system. And enslavement of all of the heathens and especially Esau, Edom. You don't think pretty soon we're going to be labeled, outcast and you know, terrorist organizations, which I think the Hebrew Israelites were already on the terror watch list. How much more when they could, you know, be able to legally and unrighteously declare laws where they could be justified in doing it, and it's all on the way. It says he also engraved anti-fascist messages. Blah 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 blah. Where's the point I wanted? It says Trump raised the idea of designating Antifa as a terrorist group in 2020, posting on Twitter the United States of America would be designating Antifa as a terrorist organization. Former Attorney General William Barr confirmed the group was present at some of the violent protests following the death of George Floyd. Former FBI Director Christopher Wray viewed Antifa differently, saying during the congressional hearing in September 20 that Antifa is not a group or an organization, but a movement or an ideology. You see? And they can designate the men of the Lord as that same, put us in this same category. You see, it says those who are involved in the movement are motivated by communism and anarchism, according to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, a bipartisan think tank in D.C. So when you look at us and the prophets, they can put us in the same category as well. Yeah, they're a movement. They're motivated by prophecy and by the scriptures and of spaceships coming down, and fighting against the United States Army and the armies of these nations in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. They believe that a black Messiah is coming to judge the world, and they're superior, and they're the righteous, and they're the chosen. And they're going to put that sim label on us for proclaiming to be the true people of the Most High, and those other people as imposters. So hey, the stage is being set, man, for them to eventually point this same thing at us, man. This is Revelations 12:12, and I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, now has come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointing, of his Hamashiach, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And this is what they're doing right now. And this is the president that they're getting ready to set up so that they can be able to come against this ministry and against the prophets. They're just using, these different situations like this and these other organizations and silencing Jimmy Kimmel. And there's going to be more. I'm pretty sure they're going to come after Candace Owens. They're going to come off some of these other, podcasts, people with their talking points and their viewpoints. And they're going to go for the higher ups, the more popular, the more mainstream. And then eventually they're going to come against the prophets and the men of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, man. Hey, we can see it as clear as day, but it's all good though. But like I read, hey, this is all part of, it's good for us as far as prophecy is concerned, because hey, the accuser of the brethren is going to be eventually cast down. But first he's going to have to literally accuse us in a mainstream way. But we know, it's going to lead to prophecy being fulfilled, man. Let me read this last paragraph right here. It says, in the United States, groups are designated as terrorist organizations after committing violent criminal acts to further ideological goal of political, religious, social, racial, or environmental natures, according to the FBI. And this is why I said, they got all these tools at their disposal, the deep fakes, they got AI. They even got patsies, they got sellouts, they got, MK Ultra motherfucker, or they might just have a Jake that they might have hemmed up and tell them, look, just like Judas and the Black Messiah, they might got some bugged out Jake. They probably got him on some crime. They might got a nigga that tagged up a church and tell them, look, man, we'll let you out of jail, but we're gonna need you to, perform this particular act for us, so we can frame these guys and hey, we'll clear you of your charges. We'll let you out of prison. We just need you to do this little job for us, man. And this is something that this society, America and these alphabet agencies are known for. So they can easily, set the stage or do something to where we can easily be blamed, man. So I'm going to read this again. It says, in the United States, groups are designated as terrorist organizations after committing violent criminal acts to further their ideological goals of political, religious, social, racial, or environmental natures, according to the FBI, man. You see, so this is all they need for something like this to be linked to us in order to designate us, to accuse us. You see, you know, and you can't put it past this devil to take it to that length, because we know he has but a short time, man. Because ultimately, they can't stop this great awakening. They can't, stop this truth from coming out. So they're going to do the next best thing. They're going to frame us. They're going to, set up laws in place to where they can try to take back control of the narrative, or they could make it illegal for us to be out on the highways and the byways and preaching this word, or they can ban us from these different platforms, which they're trying to do. Like I said, they just banned Jimmy Kimmel off of his show. And then that show's been running it's been on for over a decade, if I'm not mistaken. And just like that, his show is canceled indefinitely. He's been silenced, man. And I'm pretty sure they're not going to let him go on any other platform. He's been canceled. His voice can no longer be heard. So if they can do that to a guy like Jimmy Kimmel, you don't think they can do that to the prophets and the men of the Lord? But it says Isaiah chapter 29 for verse 20, it says, "For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught." So right now, hey, they want you people talking. They want you going on these platforms. They want you, speaking and saying these different things, because they're going to ultimately use it against you later. So right now, hey, social media is being used as a trap to catch you up in your words, to take your talking points or sentiments that you are saying that this administration don't agree with, so they could accuse you, come down, counsel you, get you fired from your job, shit, or even arrest you, or worse, deport you. Oh, they was talking about taking motherfuckers' passports, stopping you from traveling. Pretty soon, I'm pretty sure they'll take it to a level of locking your bank accounts, or worse. You see? So they're right. So that's right. Right now, you got to be very wise on what you're posting and things that you're saying online, because right now these devils are scouring the internet, looking to accuse, looking to trap up, and looking to label you as something. Look at this. It says, "For many years, we have watched the various assemblies of revolutionary communists, RevCom, Occupy Wall Street, Black Lives Matter, and personnel related to these organizations evolve and align into organizations of radical leftists known as Antifa. Previously, despite their funding, organized, and coordinated activities, the FBI has called them a movement and ideology and not an organization. However, their organizational model should not be hard to unravel. There is a funding mechanism for these activities, which should be easy for government officials to research." You see, and that's why we don't, that's why we take care of one another. We don't have our ministry linked with the government, or have a 501c3, or some type of linking to this, to this government, to where we can be controlled, man. See, but this is why I believe they're gonna have to do some heavy, carnal, framing, for them to be really to get at, the true men of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. But yeah, man, you can see, hey, it's heating up, man. This is Psalms chapter 94, verse 20. "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law?" You see? "They gathered themselves together against the souls of the righteous, and condemn the innocent blood." You see, and this is why, divine intervention is going to have to be on our side at the end of the day, because we know this devil is going to come with that harsh, crazy accusation, and he's going to come down, with that great violence, man, pretty soon. It says, "But Yahweh is my defense, and my power is the rock of my refuge, and he shall bring upon them their own iniquity, and shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yea, Yahweh, our power, shall cut them off." And that's eventually what it's going to lead to. But in the meantime, hey, the great accusation is getting ready to come down, man. So we just got to make sure that we staying prayed up, being wise, man. Make sure you're being very, wise with what you're posting and what you're saying. Hey, use those code words, talking, talking code, man. But we know eventually, the famine of the word will hit. We know eventually they are going to make it impossible for us to be out on the highways and the byways and to be on these platforms to preach this truth. So, Jake, you better get it while you can, man, and wake the hell up, man. So with that, Lord willing, this was edifying. All praise, honor, glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai for putting the spirit in me through this lesson. Lord willing, you were edified. Shalom.